Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. Larry is this person. He is a worker of a grocery store in the US. Early that day, when he was working, the administrator called him into the workplace imagining that he would be granted the best representative of the month brimming with energy. He went right there to meet the manager, only to learn that the manager had made the decision to let him go. That day, the supervisor made sense of that his presentation was for sure excellent, yet sadly, organization authorities had made another strategy expressing that all representatives there should have a 4-year certification to remain. The manager expressed regret for having to fire Larry because he lacked a bachelor's degree. Larry tried to persuade him that despite not having attended college, he had worked as a cook on a military ship for 20 years. Furthermore, he had been working there energetically for quite a long time and never lose a solitary best worker grant for that time. Be that as it may, sadly, anything Larry's guard, the guidelines are as yet the principles. In addition, the manager had to still fire him. Miserable and disheartened, Larry chose to return home that evening. At home, Larry was disturbed, contemplating how to pay the home loan. Additionally, since he did not wish to remain unemployed for the exceptionally following day, Larry quickly got some information about work opening. He likewise went to certain shops close by to search for a task, however unfortunately, nobody acknowledged him due to the very reason that he didn't have a 4-year college education. After that, Larry went to the bank in despair and asked for a delay in the mortgage payment. However, the bank was unable to provide him with what he desired. Knowing that he had no choice, they only offered to lower his bills for a longer period of time. He needed to take it. For him to take care of his bills, Larry wound up opening a yard deal to sell a portion of his stuff. However, Lamar, his neighbor across the house, reprimanded him as he removed the items. Larry made the decision to go head-to-head with Lamar, who owned a yard sale business, because he was so enraged. Larry at last made sense of his circumstance that he had recently been terminated in light of the fact that he didn't meet the organization's base necessities, recognizing Lamar's sense of guilt. He was worried about Larry's condition, especially since Larry had just divorced in the middle of the conversation a few months earlier. Lamar got a thought. Larry, he suggested, complete his education and earn a bachelor's degree. So then, at that point, he could apply to his old work or might really find a greatly improved line of work. Taking note of that suggestion, Larry believed that it was smart. The following day Larry went to the school to apply. He was taking a gander at the majors when Dave Music, the school's senior member of understudy administrations, made him. Dave suggested that Larry enroll in a few classes, 2 of which were the speech and communications class and the economic class, after hearing that he was looking for a good class to take. He advised Larry that the classes would unquestionably be life-altering, so Larry decided to enroll. He filled up his car at the gas station after returning from there. Not long after, 2 bikers appeared and top off their tank. As well, Larry recently started to understand that fuel to fill the entire motorbike tank would thoroughfare less expensive than a vehicle. So you chose to purchase a Lamar's used bike motorbike, which he got in the wake of exchanging his teeth with it to save money on transportation costs during joblessness. The following day Larry began his life as a college student on the first day. After that, he ran into Talia, another student who was on the same campus as him and was riding a scooter. Since Larry didn't have any friends in the scooter club, Talia, a member of the club, saw Larry riding a scooter and immediately invited him to join her group. He then enrolled in speech class, his first class. When he entered, he was intrigued to see an exceptionally lovely instructor named. Sadly, despite her beauty, she appeared to be unfriendly to her students as she demonstrated her strict classroom rules. After the top of the line, Larry hurried into the following class, which was the financial aspects class. It worked out that Talia was likewise taking a similar class. Larry listened to the professor's explanation despite the fact that he was boring. Seriously, Haley invited Larry to meet her scooter club friends after class. She also gave her boyfriend and the leader of the club, Don, a brief introduction. After getting to know each other, the group toured the town. Furthermore, after that, Larry invited them to lunch at a restaurant owned by a friend. He then, at that point, took them to Lamar's yard deal place after lunch. When they arrived at Lamar Place, the members of the club were already busy shopping while Larry went home to study for the classes the following day. They were aware that there were a lot of unique items there and that they might like the place. Talia suddenly burst in to see Larry while he was studying and discovered that the place was messy. She then took the initiative to assist Larry in organizing all of his belongings. She likewise requested one from the club individuals who was a hair pointer and changed Larry's appearance to make a misanthrope after each one got back home. Don seemed a little bit envious before he left because Larry had been too close to his girlfriend all day. Ware helped him that a ton to remember men attempted to date her since she was well disposed, yet he cautioned Larry not to get close to home since she was his young lady. With all due respect, Larry expressed that all along, Talia was only a companion to him. Then again, Tana's spouse, Dignitary, was partaking in his time observing some grown-up satisfied on the web. He hurried to greet Tana as soon as she got home to avoid being caught. However, it turned out that Tina was already aware of Dean's actions. In addition, Dean had been unemployed for a considerable amount of time and was too lazy to seek employment. He spent all of that time in her apartment. They argue until the very end. Senior member guarantees that sometime, he will find a new line of work and request support him as opposed to cornering him. The following morning, Taylor met Larry by accident as he headed to the campus. Larry attempted to welcome her, however she was excessively fascinated in singing. Larry inquired about her actions when he was finally recognized. When Larry checked, it turned out that the GPS was having an error, and Taylor claimed that she was just singing so that she wouldn't hear the sound coming from her GPS. He then told the best way to fix it. They then continued their journey to campus. While in class, Hannah showed about the study of public talking, yet the method for looking during a discourse just after the top notch. Larry went to the financial matters class, which was extremely exhausting. After school, Talia welcomed Larry to a carport where she put her pre-owned garments assortments. Talia said that Larry's appearance actually looked outdated. She therefore desired to present him with one of her cool clothes as a friend. Abruptly, when Larry was changing, Ware appeared seeing him. Larry put on his clothes right away. Larry dined at the restaurant of a friend in the afternoon. While visiting with them, his companion recollected that Larry once functioned as a tactical boat cook and had an encounter for a very long time. He then offered him a cook position. Recognizing that offer, Larry cheerfully consented to take the risk. He guaranteed that he will figure out how to function while as yet going to classes the following day. Larry started working as a cook that morning, but he had to miss Tana's class that morning due to conflicting work schedules. In the meantime, she observed the most notable and outstanding students skipping her class. May Tay not feel minimal disheartened. Luckily, Ferrari actually came to the financial matters class later in the day. At the point when Larry, Talia and Dr. Matsu Tami, his teacher in financial matters class, were having a talk. Larry was yelling at Taylor when she suddenly showed up because he had missed her class. Talia, then again, asked why she was really focusing on Larry that midday in the vehicle when Tana was arranging the material for the upcoming illustration. He unintentionally saw Larry and Count strolling together and giggling. Taylor made a mistake. She thought they were going out tomorrow and just entered class. Hannah seemed irritated. She instructed Larry to begin practicing public speaking right away. Larry, on the other hand, finally spoke about the activities of his scooter club because he was unsure of what to say. He jokingly reminisced about the first time we met Talia. He was invited to join the motorcycle club by Talia. Talia, who tidied up his home, even changed his appearance to make him look cooler. Taylor became even more irritated after hearing all of that. Halia saw a rental shop by accident after class in the afternoon. She then rented the shop without further delay and met Larry at the restaurant to seek advice. Talia gave Larry cooler glasses when he was helping to figure out how much it would cost to open the store. In the wake of working out the expense, Larry let him know that the financial plan was correct so Talia could quickly open her shop. Hearing that Talia was glad to such an extent that she kissed his cheek when out of nowhere Sunrise came seeing him, Larry returned from work to the kitchen. Late at night, Tanit and senior member just left the bar. They were both extremely intoxicated. In the vehicle, they started arguing about Dean's joblessness. Dean made the erroneous statement that he watched adult content because the girls are much sexier than Taylor after the heated argument. Hanaud lost all patience after hearing the sentence just now. She burst into his heart and requested a separation. Taylor immediately left after saying all that. Talia unintentionally observed Tanit sitting alone at the bus stop shortly thereafter while Larry and his scooter club were traveling in a convoy throughout the town. She came up with the idea to hook Larry up with Tana right away. Larry was then asked to bring Tana home by Talia. Tana was still playing hard at first. She was forced, however, to accept his invitation for a ride when she realized she had left her wallet in the car. On a street to make the air more straightforward, Larry attempted to talk, yet Tana didn't appear to be enamored with the visit. On the manner in which they ran into Dignitary, who was captured by the police for talking. Taylor derided him and giggled as though her concerns unexpectedly evaporated. There was glad to see Taylor at long last ease her concern. He assisted her in entering Tana's apartment when they arrived. Larry was suddenly kissed and teased by Tana, who was extremely drunk. In any case, before things got warmed, Larry figured out how to control himself. Larry, however, stunningly danced without Larry realizing it as Tana left to enter her apartment. Larry couldn't contain his joy. He was being watched by Tana peacefully from the door. The following morning, Dean saw that his belongings had been cleaned and piled outside the apartment when he just got home from the police station. Larry couldn't look away from Tana that day in class. He continued to take a gander at the wonderful lady that kissed him the previous evening. He felt that after the previous evening, perhaps he and Tana had become nearer. When the class finished, Tana called Larry, yet all at once not true to form. He received her apology. She was extremely sorry on the grounds that she was so tipsy, she got out of hand. Tina hoped Larry didn't tell anyone about the incident last night because she could forget about it. Hearing that Larry was frustrated and decided to leave there at home in the wake of thinking about that. Despite the fact that it was hard, Larry at last chose not to go on with his home portions. After that, he went to the bank officer, presented all of the documents, and stated that he would leave his house within the next 30 days. Contrarily, however, Taylor, who stated that Larry had to keep his distance from her, continued to consider the matter and felt concerned. The following day at grounds, in the wake of educating and going to get back to her office, she ran into Talia. Seeing there was an opportunity, she inquired as to whether Talia and Larry were dating. Talia responded with a chuckle, stating that the two of them were only friends. Nothing beyond that. Hearing that relieved Tamar's heart greatly. Larry, on the other hand, was perplexed in economics class because Talia was absent. He went to meet Talia, who was getting ready to open her new shop, in the afternoon. Larry inquired as to why Talia was missing class. After that, Talia informed her that she had just agreed to drop out. So beginning that day, she authoritatively exited school and could zero in more on dealing with her business. Larry still supported his friend's choice, despite his shock. Larry's classmates came over the following morning to assist with moving preparations. When everything was prepared, Larry then, at that point, held a goodbye party with his neighbors in the early evening. Before the end of the semester, days had passed. That day, all understudies in class, one by one, approached for the last discourse test. Larry casually began to talk about his 20 years of experience working as a cook on a military ship when it was his turn to speak. Larry is thankful that he was a cook on a ship because it allowed him to travel the world while cooking. Every time his ship docked in another country, he was hawking in front of the class and had many exciting experiences. Each one was so into his story, particularly occupant. Later in the day, during the last analyzed financial matters class as the most excellent understudy. The professor was astonished when Larry took his exam first and passed it with flying colors. Taylor worked on her grades at home later that day. She decided to give Larry the highest grade because she was still awestruck by his story. A plus. Months after the fact, the new semester started. Sadly, this semester is not ideal. According to the statement that Larry was no longer in Tana's class, he did not enroll in her class because he wanted to concentrate on studying economics. Hannah was alone. However, after school and in the afternoon, she tracked down a note at her office entryway with the location. That appeared to be a condo address. He thought Larry wrote the note. She then swiftly passed on to track down the location. It turned out that Talia's shop was the address. Seeing Tina coming, Seythe grinned and afterward told her that Larry's new condo was right adjacent to. They finally saw each other again after being apart for months. At that exact second, they grinned at one another, without communicating their sentiments. Furthermore, Larry appeared to definitely realize that both of them were joyfully infatuated with one another. Larry then welcomed his lovely speaker into his loft. Turn on notifications. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.